Hi guys, and welcome to another Elementor video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We've got another little hover effect for you today. We've got a little icon box here. When you hover over it, it's going to drop down a heading and a bit of text here. And this is a bit of an extension of what we did in the last video. We did this sort of icon with a heading. Text that'll appear there. Somebody asked if we could do a drop down. Yeah, you can. We've got to do a little bit of coding for this today as usual. But any code I write, I'll put below the video and you're welcome to use it. So let's get started. I've got this page open here with Elementor. Let's go to the matrix. And I'm going to choose an icon box for this. And this is available in both the free and the pro version. Here's the icon box. We'll just pop that one in there, and there it is. First thing it's going to do is prompt you to put an icon in. You can either upload your own SVG or transparent ping, whatever you want, or you can go to the icon library and choose something that's appropriate for whatever it is you've got doing. Let's just pop that one in, that's fine. Okay. And of course down below you've got your heading. And remember, the heading and the content here are not going to be visible at first. We're going to make them pop down like this. I haven't got anything real to say, so I'm just going to leave that just like it is. If you want to link your module, put a link down below here. And as usual, best practice for links. If you're linking to your own site, leave it just as it is. If you're linking off-site to another site, open it in a new window so your site stays open. To get these drop down options, just click the little icon right there. Okay, I'm happy to have my icon in the middle, and the HTML tag for the heading is an H3. You can change it to an H2 or an H1 if you need to, but I'm going to leave mine just like that. Okay, well, I'm going to give this column an actual background color similar to what we've done here. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But I want to make this a little bit deeper so it fills out the whole column. So I'm going to add a bit of padding. I'm just going to give it 20 pixels all around. Leave the chain checked, it'll do all four at once for you. That's giving it a little bit of padding there. But I might need to put some on the bottom. I think I'm going to up that bottom one so it covers the whole of our area right there. So I'm going to take the chain off just to affect the bottom. Let's take this to maybe 60. I think that's okay. Let's take it down to 50 just to make sure we're not pushing that other one a little larger. 50. We want about 53 or something like that. 52. That's close enough. That's close enough. So let's go into the column now. Little dark tab for the column. Little blue tab for the actual widget we're working on. And if you look, the column's got a little bit of space between it and the module. And that's padding. I want to take that away and swap it for margin. So there's still a gap there, but we're not going to cover it when we color the background of the column. So I'm going to left click on the column. As you can see up here, we're in the column. I'm going to go over to the advanced. I'm going to put a 0 in the padding. We've got the chain checked, so it'll do 4 of them at once. Great. Well, I'm just going to put 10 pix margin all around, and that's back to how it was. Now I can give it a background color. So if we go to style, here's the background. Give it whatever color you want by simply clicking on the color. Let's make this one purple. Put it up to where the color is that you want. That's fine. Okay. Great. Now we can go back into our module here. And I can't really see that right now. I'm going to leave the title and the icon however it is. Again, if you want to style those, go into style and you can choose the color for your icon right here. I guess we'll make that white. And if you go to the content below, of course with the icon you can make it more spacing, you can make it bigger or smaller, and you can rotate it if you want to. I'm going to leave mine just like that. Down below content, here we've got a heading. I'm going to leave that just as it is. And we've got our description. I'm going to make that white so we can read it a little bit better against that background there. Great. Okay, that's pretty much how we want it at the moment, but we want all of this content, the heading and the paragraph text, to be up here somewhere. And then when we hover over, we want it to drop back in. This is where the CSS coding comes in. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to update and preview. There we go. I want to find out what all this is here so we can target it with some CSS. So I'm going to right click on the heading itself and hit inspect. I'm using Google Chrome here. Most of these have most browsers have an inspector nowadays, but if yours doesn't, Google Chrome is a free download. Okay, so we've got the heading. As you can see, it's highlighting it when I roll over it. There's the icon box title. Here's the content, which covers the heading and the content, which is just exactly what I want. So I'm going to double click and I'm going to copy that class name. You see it's a class equals, so it's a class name. I'm going to copy it. So now we can target both the heading and the paragraph text with some CSS. Now I've got the Pro version installed at the moment, so if we go back to our icon box to the advanced, I've got a custom CSS box at the bottom. If you're using the free version of Elementor, you won't be able to use this box. So you'll have to put your CSS in your customizer. Now I've got that open here. If we go back to get your customizer, go down to your dashboard, to appearance, and then customize. That will bring you to this page. Hit the additional CSS, and both the free and the Pro version will have this. And this is where you need to write your CSS for the free version. And it's a good idea to give it a title. And that's / // Anything you write between the two stars will not be read as code, so it's a great place for notes or titles. Icon box drop. Call it something that you're going to recognize, and then paste your code just underneath right here. If you write a lot of code, it's a fantastic idea to put a title in. Not only does it make it easier for you, but if somebody else edits the site, it's a courtesy. When you're happy with what you've got going on there, just simply hit the publish button. Okay, well let's write a bit of code and get this going. So I copied that class name, but I don't want it to happen on all icon boxes, because if I'm not careful, every single icon box on the site will be affected. So I've got to be specific about this. So let's give this a CSS class of its own. So we're in the actual icon box, advanced. Hit the little chevron for the advanced there, and we can give it a CSS class. Call it something unique. It's got to be one of a kind, and it's a good idea to call it something that you're going to recognize. So I'm going to say icon box IBDR for drop, icon box drop. Okay, so we've got a class name. Go back to our custom CSS. All class names have to have a dot or a period in front, so it's dot IBDR. And then the other class name that we just copied for the content and the heading, now again it's a class name, so it has a dot or period in front of it. Paste that class name in there. There it is. Now we can target this. Open and close some curly brackets, drop down one. What do we want to do? Well, we want to pull it up out of the way first, so I'm guessing that's probably 300 pixels or so up there. So let's do that. I'm going to say margin dash top colon minus 300 pixels. As you can see, it's disappeared, which is great. It's up here somewhere. Okay. Now we want to trigger it, so that's actually the bottom of it right there where this little blue line is. I'm not sure if you can see that on the video or not, but we need to give it, say, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give it sort of 350. I don't want it to grow any down the bottom. Padding on the bottom so that we can target it when we hover over. We're still actually hovering on it. So I'm going to drop down, say padding bottom. say 350, that may be too much. I want to see if that grows when I do. Yeah, that's way too much. So let's take it back down to 300, I think. That should be fine. Yeah, it's just resting right just above the bottom there. So that's going to work fine. 300. Now I'm going to make it invisible. At the moment it's up there. I don't even know if I can select it. Yeah, there it is right there. But I want to make it invisible. So to do that, I'm going to say opacity, especially if you've got something on top of it. 0. Opacity is transparency or see-throughness. Okay, so we know it's up there. We know it goes down to here with the padding. So we can now set the hover state. So if I just copy this title again, all the way from the dot to the end of the T on content there, Control C, I'm going to drop down a couple. And right after the T of content there, I'm going to put a colon, the word hover, and open and close some curly brackets again. Drop down, and we can put our code in there that what we want to do. Now also, because I've got something in this one, it's actually giving our column, our actual module, some height here. So I actually want to give this the minimum height, so when this goes up, it doesn't sort of squeeze up into nothing up here. So we've given it the class of IBDR, so let's just copy that. And I'll drop down below this bit of code that we've not put in there yet. We've just put it in the brackets ready for the code. We'll put that in there, and I'm going to give it a minimum height so that that little box can't shrink down. So I'm going to say minimum height 350. Let's open and close some curly brackets, and in between I'm going to give it a minimum height, min dash height, of 350 pixels. That way it can't shrink down when we sort of start moving this container stuff around. Great. So now for our stuff we've pushed up here, what do we want to do when we hover over it? Well, I don't want any margin at the top, so we're going to say margin top 0 semicolon, and we want to be able to see it. So I'm going to say opacity 1, which is fully visible. Now you can increment 0.1, 0.2 and get any transparency you want, but I want it to be fully visible. So let's see what happens now. Yeah, it's jumped down there, but as you can see, as it's jumped down and we've got 300 pixels or so padding on the bottom, it's made it a lot bigger. Now I don't want that, so I need to take any padding we've got off on the bottom. Now if we just look up here, the original padding we set on the bottom was 52. So we can either try that or something smaller. So we'll go back into our custom CSS. So let's go into our hover state, drop down one, I'll say padding, dash bottom. It was 52, wasn't it? I'm going to just put 50 in there and see how we get on with that. 50 pixels, semicolon. Now let's hover over. It's better, it's still making it grow a little bit. So let's make that 0. And if you use a 0, you don't have to put the pix value in there. That's better. It's not growing anymore and it's popping down. But it looks like it's just jumping in there because it's fading down from the top so quickly. So let's slow it down so we can actually see it drop down like this. And to do that, we'll use transition duration. We put that in the regular state, not the hover state. So if I drop down, say transition, it's actually prompted us down here. I'm just going to click on that to autofill it. And let's make it 1 second. And you can do 1.5 seconds, 0.5 seconds. I'm going to simply make it 1 second, semicolon. That should slow it down a bit. There we go. That's much more like it. Okay, so if we've done everything correctly, that should now work. Let's update. Hit the little eyeball to preview the changes. Now let's hover over this one. And there we go. I think I might want to up the padding a little bit on the bottom. That's okay. It's triggering in most places, but it's not actually triggering until we get up to about there. So we could give it another 20 or 30 on the bottom if you wanted to. This one, yeah, it's fairly similar. So there we go. There's our little drop-down content. Icon box with drop-down content. And as usual, I'll put all this CSS below the video. You're welcome to use it how you wish. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.